Being nice is literally destroying your life. And I don't mean that in some dramatic clickbait way. I mean it is quietly, slowly, invisibly costing you promotions, real friendships, your sense of self, and you don't even realize it's happening. Because nobody told you there are two kinds of nice. There's kindness, the real thing, warm, generous, comes from a full heart. And then there's the kind that's really just fear wearing a smile. The kind where you say yes when your whole body is screaming no. The kind where you laugh at jokes that make your stomach turn. The kind where you stay quiet in the meeting, even though your idea was genuinely better. That second kind, psychology has a lot to say about it. And honestly, some of it shocked me when I first came across it. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand, and this one hit me like a truck, your niceness probably isn't coming from generosity, it's coming from fear. There's an actual psychological term for this. It's called the fawn response, and it's classified as a trauma response. Same category as fight, flight, and freeze. What happens is, usually in childhood, at some point, expressing a real need felt dangerous. Saying, I don't want to, had consequences. So your nervous system did what nervous systems do. It found a workaround. Just agree, just smile, just make everyone comfortable, and you'll be safe. Crazy, right? You weren't being selfless, you were surviving. The problem is you grew up, but that strategy didn't get the memo. So now you're in an office, in a friendship, in a relationship, carrying around a coping mechanism that was built for a version of your life that doesn't even exist anymore. And it's costing you. Not loudly, quietly. In the opportunities you didn't reach for. In the resentment you can't quite explain at the end of the day. In the low hum of something's off that you can't shake. Here's what I want you to hear. Recognizing this isn't something to be ashamed of. You learned to survive. That's actually kind of remarkable. Now you just get to learn something better. Here's the deal with people-pleasing, and this is the part that feels backwards at first. It's actually damaging the relationships you're working so hard to protect. I know, stick with me. Research in interpersonal psychology is really clear on this. Real relationships, the ones that actually feel good, are built on honest communication, not performed harmony. When you're always agreeing, always deferring, always editing yourself to avoid any possible friction, the other person never actually meets you. They meet a curated version of you. A you that's been smoothed out and softened and made palatable. And here's the brutal part. People feel it. Not always consciously, but they do. They can't quite put their finger on it, but something feels slightly off. You never push back, you never disagree, you never take up space. And over time, that doesn't feel like kindness, it feels like distance. I read about a woman in a psychology case study once. She described her social life as, everyone loves me, but no one really knows me. 15 years of being the easy friend, the agreeable one, the one who never rocked the boat. And she was one of the loneliest people in the room. Being truly known requires being truly honest. And honesty, real honesty, sometimes means disappointing someone. That's not being unkind, that's just the price of actual connection. Okay, third point, and honestly, this one hit closest to home for me. When you constantly put everyone else first, you're not being selfless, you're disappearing. Psychology calls it self-erasure. And it doesn't happen in one big dramatic moment. It happens in 10,000 tiny ones. Every time you say, whatever you want, instead of what you actually want. Every time you steer the conversation away from yourself because you don't want to seem like too much. Every time you downplay something you're proud of so someone else feels more comfortable. And then one day you look up and you genuinely don't know what you like anymore, what excites you, what you actually want your life to look like, because you've spent so long being whoever the room needed you to be. Research shows that having a stable, grounded sense of self is one of the strongest predictors of life satisfaction. Not loud confidence, not performing certainty, just knowing who you are. And you can't build that while spending all your energy managing everyone else's feelings. So here's something small you can try today. Just once, express an actual preference instead of deferring. I'd love the Thai place. I'd rather skip this one. Honestly, I disagree. That's it. Nothing dramatic. That's how you start finding your way back to yourself, one tiny honest moment at a time. Fourth thing, and nobody talks about this enough, your niceness is literally teaching people how to treat you. There's a basic principle in behavioral psychology. Behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. When you consistently absorb other people's inconvenience, when you laugh off disrespect, when you never hold a line, you are accidentally training the people around you. Not because they're bad people, but because you haven't given them any information to the contrary. Think about the coworker who keeps offloading your work onto you, or the friend who cancels every other plan last minute, or the family member who makes those sharp little comments and then calls you too sensitive when you react. Those patterns didn't fall from the sky. They were trained, slowly, quietly, by your own accommodation. And here's the reframe that I think genuinely changes things. Holding a boundary isn't aggression, it's just information. It's saying, here's how I work, here's what I need, here's what I won't accept. Good people hear that and they adjust. They respect it. And the ones who don't, honestly, that's information too. You don't have to go cold to have standards. Warmth with limits is infinitely more magnetic than warmth with none. Fifth, the exhaustion you feel at the end of the day, it might not be about what you did, it might be about who you had to be. Psychology has a term for this. It's emotional labor. It's the ongoing work of managing and performing your emotions to meet other people's expectations. And studies on emotional suppression are pretty striking. Consistently masking your real responses raises your stress hormones, keeps your nervous system in a low-grade threat state, and over time contributes to real burnout, actual physical symptoms. You know that feeling where you haven't done anything that hard, but you come home and you're completely hollowed out? That's not weakness. That's the cost of the performance. The shift, and it's a practice, not a light switch, is moving from performing niceness to choosing kindness. When kindness comes from genuine care, not compulsion, it stops draining you. It actually starts to fill you back up. And here's something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Chronic niceness doesn't just affect how you feel. It quietly shapes the story you tell yourself about who you even are. Think about it. When you spend years saying yes to everything, never voicing a real opinion, never showing up as the full, complicated version of yourself, your own brain starts to buy the act. Psychologists call this self-concept confusion, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You start genuinely losing track of where the performance ends and where the real you begins. I remember reading about a therapist who said one of the most common things she hears from people pleasers in sessions isn't, "I'm exhausted," it's, "I don't even know what I want anymore." And that's the part that gets me, because it means the cost of compulsive niceness isn't just social, it isn't just relational, it's deeply personal. It chips away at your own sense of reality. The good news, and there is good news, is that it's reversible, but it starts with getting honest. Not with other people first, with yourself. Asking the uncomfortable question, which parts of how I show up every day are actually me, and which parts are just the costume I put on so everyone stays comfortable? And here's where it all comes together. Your niceness might be quietly standing between you and everything you actually want. Career growth requires advocating for yourself, asking for the thing, pitching the bold idea, disagreeing out loud. Real love requires honesty, not just agreeableness. Research on high achievers is pretty consistent on this. The trait that shows up across the board isn't ruthlessness, it isn't raw intelligence, it's assertiveness combined with genuine warmth, directness and care at the same time. The people who figure that out don't make everyone happy, but they build lives that actually feel like theirs. So here's what I want to leave you with. You're not too much. You're not difficult. You're not a bad person for having needs and limits and opinions. The version of nice that asks you to erase yourself, that's not a virtue, it's a habit. A very human, very understandable, very changeable habit. Better looks like saying what you mean, with warmth. disagreeing without the world ending. Knowing your worth isn't up for a vote. You don't need to become harder, you just need to become more honestly yourself. And that version of you is genuinely worth showing up for. If something in this hit home for you, subscribe. Seriously. Every week we go deep on the psychological patterns that shape how we live and love and see ourselves. Not to overwhelm you, just to help you understand yourself a little more clearly. And sometimes, that's where everything starts to shift.